Welcome to LOA Today. Walt Thiessen, Anne-Marie McEwen, and very soon Mark Ewan joining us here on this Sunday, November the 11th, 2018. It is 8 p.m. Eastern Time. That's 1 a.m. London time, so not too many people are awake in London. And it is also 5 p.m. Los Angeles time, so hopefully some people joining us from the west coast of the United States. But Mark's going to be along in just a few moments. Actually, I think very, very shortly. And Anne-Marie is actually here twice. She's trying to get a computer going and a smartphone going at the same time, which is probably not the best thing to be doing in the middle of the broadcast, but that's okay. It's kind of fun anyway. And we are welcoming all of our listeners from the Law of Attraction Change My Life group on Facebook who might be tuning in. This is not a time when you get a lot of people from Europe, which is where the group is based, doing that stuff. But hopefully we have some U.S. listeners tuning in. And if you are tuning in and listening to us on the group, we welcome you. Just a couple of items of interest. First of all, I wanted to let people know that particularly if you're in the group on Facebook, I have been trying to post on the various channels the ability to find out what programs we've got coming up, because we've been pre-scheduling what our topics and events are going to be, and we have a number of them now listed on the events section of the group on Facebook. So if you're a member of the Law of Attraction Change My Life group on Facebook, feel free to follow those events, and if you say you're going to come after being invited, or if you just decide you're going to come on your own, just click the yes, I'm going to come button, and you'll of course be reminded as the event gets closer and closer. Few of the events that we're talking about, first of all, Cindy Chavez and I are talking about the Neville Goddard book, Feeling is the Secret. We've been doing that book now. We're about halfway through it. We've been doing it for the last couple of weeks on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and we're going to continue to do that coming Tuesdays and Wednesdays for the next couple of weeks. And we're also going to be doing a special event next Sunday, 4 p.m. New York time. That's 1 p.m. Los Angeles time, 9 p.m. London time. We're going to be doing a special Neville Goddard Q&A. So if you are interested in perhaps learning more about Neville Goddard, maybe you have some questions, and especially if you're a member of the group, the Facebook group, and would like to be able to ask us live questions, or you can just listen to us on the Spreaker broadcast on the homepage of the website. Either way, just ask your questions, and Cindy and I will do our best. Actually, Cindy will be doing most of the question answering because she's the Neville Goddard expert, but we'll do our best to see if we can answer those questions for you and help you to better understand the teachings of Neville Goddard, who is quite influential in his own right, and a very well-educated, self-educated man who had an interesting way of combining biblical scriptures with his teaching. He was a very religious man, but his approach to the scriptures were quite different from the way most religious scholars and pastors and ministers and priests and so forth take on the topic. So it's kind of a fun thing to see how he handles it. But I see you've got also the Abraham-Hicks pyramid in the background there, the emotional guidance scale as expressed in a colorful spiral. It's not really a double helix. It's like two halves of a double helix that have been pulled apart, but it's cool. I've seen that graphic.
It's supposed to be one long thing that they just had to separate because it's on a piece of paper.
Right, yeah. No, it's good.
Yeah, I don't know if you can read it, but
it's very pretty. It's really a beautiful graphic, and I have seen that one, but it's really a gorgeous graphic. So yeah, thanks for putting it up there. How you been? We haven't talked in a week or so, but how's it been?
Yes, I've been well. I've been very busy, but I get to babysit for my 5-year-old granddaughter now every afternoon at 2 o'clock. So my life, even though it's extremely busy, I have to just pause and play with her sometimes. And so that's, oh, poor pitiful me.
Oh, it's so terrible, I tell you.
I've been enjoying that immensely, yes.
Fantastic.
Yes. Today I made this pin. Can you see this pin here? This is
hold it up a little bit.
Today. There we go.
Oh, very nice. Very lovely.
Today. We went to Epic Arts, and a nice little place in East Hampton that deals with kids and theater and arts of all sorts. And I took her there, and we had fun. So I've been playing with her a lot, which is really good. And my daughter is working 2 jobs now, which is good for her.
Oh.
So we'll just see how it goes.
Very good. Yeah, that's great. By the way, before I forget, I wanted to pass a message along from Louise, who said to say hello, and we'll have to be getting together sometime soon. And you'll be pleased
Thank
to know
you.
we're actually thinking, this is not a guarantee, but we're thinking about coming down to the Buttonwood for your next Laughter Yoga week from Tuesday. So
Oh,
don't put it
yay.
on the calendar
Excellent.
yet, but that's what we're thinking about at this point. Which would be like
Nice.
you've been like pushing it for a long time for us to come down, so we're actually going to come down. And anyone else who happens
Yes.
to be in Connecticut, you're also welcome to come to the Buttonwood in Middletown, Connecticut, for all the events that can be found on your website at itsbuttonwood.org, isn't it?
That's correct.
That's it. Okay.
Buttonwood.org.
All
That's
right.
right. Yes.
And I see that Mark is
Oh,
now
Mark's
joining
here.
us. There he is. Now, Mark, I'm going to ask you to keep your microphone volume as low as possible because Anne Marie's volume is even lower than normal. So I've had to jack hers up. So if,
Oh,
if yours is not as low as possible, you're going to blow out the speakers here. So I've got your microphone turned on. Can you hear us, Mark? Are you there? Or are you still setting up? He may still be
well, I
setting
saw
up.
him for a minute, but now he's disappeared. So,
Okay, well, he'll be back, I'm sure. But anyway, we were going to take kind of a nice high road today. There's been a lot of controversial topics lately discussed on the podcast, and I figured we needed something a little bit lighter today. So,
okay.
one of the things that I know that I'm always dealing with, and a lot of people deal with, is what Abraham calls being in that high vibration, right? Because the high vibration is where you feel good, and when you feel good, it's because you're focusing on stuff that feels good to you, that is in alignment with your inner being and all that stuff. And when you're in that space, any wishes, any wants, any desires that you're putting out has also a high vibration because you're feeling good. And therefore has the much higher likelihood of manifesting the way you want it to instead of the way you don't want it to.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
That's
So
true.
we wanted to talk about what are our favorite ways to manifest through feeling good. In other words, how do we get ourselves feeling good? How do we stay high? What's our high vibration stuff? And there's actually a lot you can talk about there. I mean, I know over time. Oh, and I see Mark coming in a second channel. Let me see if I can get Mark in there. Are you there, Mark? Whoops. Nope, he just disappeared. Whoop. Can't quite get him. Nope, guess not. Every time I try to unmute, it stays muted. So he's not quite ready. So he'll be joining us, I'm sure, when he's ready. But yes, high vibration. I mean, I've been like most people. I have been through plenty of trials and tribulations trying to learn my particular best ways to do it. And Patty Frama, who does the Monday afternoon podcast with me, suggested to me about 2 months ago, something like that. I should make a list of the processes that I use that work best for me, so that if I have a day where things aren't going quite so well, I can look at my list and have an instant reference. And it's a good idea. And interestingly enough, I have not only a good list, it's a list of 16 items on it. And one of the items is actually the Abraham-Hicks book, Asking It Is Given, which has 22 processes. So if you add those in, you're probably up around 40 different items on the list at that point. So it's a pretty good list at that point. But what do you have go-to items? Do you have, maybe I should ask you this? Do you have a daily process that you do? Do you have things that you do every day, or do you just have go-to things, or what do you do?
There are some things that I do every day, and but I don't have a written list of things that I can do. I kind of know them in my head, but I do agree that having them written is probably a really good idea.
Mm,
Sometimes you just can't think.
exactly.
And that's when a written list is a really good idea, especially when you're depressed or you're just not feeling good. If you have that thing written down, if you have a list, then I think that's a really good handy tool to have on hand.
Hmm.
But I do, I think one of the biggest things that I do, and I'm pretty good about this, both Mike, my husband, and I are, is before we even get out of bed in the morning, we talk about things that we're grateful for and that we are appreciative for, and try to get into that blissful state. Even though when you wake up, sometimes we talk about like what we dreamed about. That's not necessarily blissful. So talking, some of our dreams are like so crazy. I'm like,
I hear you.
wow, it's just like bizarre. But when we talk about things that we're grateful for and we're appreciative of, and getting to that blissful state, just being blissful for that little while, to me is really helpful and sets my day on a good path. I always ask for my day to go joyfully, smoothly, easily, and successfully,
Hmm.
and often they do. Often it does. And I think that part of it is, a big part of it is just your perspective. And if you expect things to go well and you're looking at the bright side of things, I think things tend to go that way much more often.
Gratitude is a good spot to start with, especially if you're not really sure where to start. Maybe not in the best place. That's a good way to start. You can always start with, what are the good things going on in your life that you can be grateful for. And I'm sure you've had these conversations too. I've had conversations with people who will sit there or sit there online or whatever and tell me, well, I can't think of anything right now. And so I always remind them, well, do you have a roof over your head? Do you have food on the table? Are you living in a warm environment? Are you living in an environment? Are you not out on the street? Do you have clothing on your back? If you've got all those things, you're off to a good start.
Yeah. Do you have two eyes where you can see?
Yeah.
Start with that. I like to bring that one up a lot of times because people overlook that. People take your eyesight for granted so many times. And I don't take it for granted. I appreciate it all the time. And my sense of touch and my sense of hearing and my sense of smell, all my senses, I'm really appreciative for my senses. So I like to take time to just spend time appreciating them. And that always makes me feel better.
You're right. Yeah. Actually, I have extra reason to be grateful for senses because I'm actually blind in my left eye. So I'm very grateful for the right eye because I still have that one. And that's a good thing. Very, very important. Yeah.
Exactly.
And all the senses. We got 5 great senses. All of them produce wonderful results. I mean, one of the reasons I do podcasts is because hearing is my best sense. And I love music. I love sound. I love the sound of people's voices. And I'm so appreciative of that. So you're right. Very simple things like that we can appreciate. That gets us into that better feeling place. And I think Mark may have figured out the technical side. Mark, can you hear us?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you, although I need you to back off on the mic because Anne-Marie's volume is particularly low. So we got to have you back off a bit because I can't regulate it that much. There, that's better. How you doing? We haven't talked in a while.
Y'all are on a horrible echo on my end.
You have an echo?
You sound pretty echoey.
I'm echoing?
No, Mark is.
Yeah, well, y'all are echoing terribly on my end. I don't know what's the...
Are we both echoing to you? Mark?
Yeah.
We are.
This is the last day I'm using this computer.
Let me try switching to my headphones and see if that makes a difference. Is that any different? You hear any echo there?
A little bit.
A little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'm not sure what that is then. I have used up all of my things that I can do to get rid of echo. Sorry. Well, if it's the last time you're using that computer, maybe getting the new computer will make the difference. Well, that's what we'll hope for.
Let me disappear, and I'll just reboot, see if that works.
You're going to reboot? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I picked one up when I was coming home from Savannah today. My computer guy had it waiting for me.
Ah. Okay, well then we'll see you in a few minutes. So while Mark does his reboot, I'm gonna switch back to non-headphones because I just want to see if I can go without headphones for a bit. So let's see where we're.
Well, I think one of the first things that I would suggest to people, if I guess I'm going to just keep talking, and unless Mark wants to come in, I think you're going to reboot, Mark. So we're going to say goodbye to you for now.
Actually, the echo's gone when you talk. Can you hear me?
Okay.
All right. Well, you can just stay like that if you want.
Can y'all hear me?
No, we hear you.
I can hear you.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, the echo disappeared. I don't know what happened, but I'm not going to question it.
It probably means that Blue Jeans has figured out how to filter it out, which it's very good at doing. So we'll just go with that for now. So what were you saying, Anne-Marie?
Now I think I'm on a 2-second delay.
So what I was saying is that I think that for a lot of people, probably the easiest and fastest way to start to change your vibrational level to one of something more positive is to simply start taking deep breaths. And if you can start just taking deep breaths and just pausing, whatever you're doing, whatever you're thinking, just pausing for a moment and calming down a little bit and just pause and take deep breaths and then think about something that you're grateful for. I think for me, that's the fastest way to get out of any funk. And I do use the laughter technique sometimes, but that's more when I'm frustrated. I turn to laughter. I think, I wonder if we did a survey on different emotions and getting out of that emotion versus getting out of other emotions. In other words, for example, I find that when I'm frustrated, laughter works. But if I'm depressed, then maybe feeling gratitude works. And maybe if I'm angry, taking deep breath works. You know what I'm saying? So do you find any differences in your methods?
Do I find differences? Well, I think some are just more accessible for me at times than others are. I mean, that's part of the premise behind the Abraham book, Ask and It Is Given, because they have 22 processes at the back of that book, but they don't recommend all 22 at any given time. They recommend them based on where you are on the emotional guidance scale, right? So if you're toward the higher end of the scale, then one of the first few processes is good. If you're toward the lower end of the scale, then one of the latter processes is good. And you really have to kind of tune it to where you are, so to speak. Because if you're depressed and you're going for a process that is for people who are feeling optimistic or better, you're probably not going to get very far with it. It's just not going to help much.
That's true.
Whereas with there's certain things like meditation. You mentioned breathing, and breathing, of course, is a major part of meditation. With meditation, that's probably going to help with anything, no matter where you are on the scale. You could be really high, really low. Just so, meds, I'm okay. Anywhere in there, you're probably going to be fine with meditation. Meditation is going to help in any situation.
Yeah, if you can get there. I mean, I would bet that people at certain levels wouldn't even be open to the idea of doing meditation.
True.
And that's part of the problem.
Yep. For me, I think you have to kind of find out which ones work for you. For me, if I have the opportunity to get outside into nature, that almost always works for me. I mean, there are rare instances where it just isn't doing anything. And when it's not doing anything, it's because I'm not letting it do anything. I mean, it's almost like I'm hanging on to the feeling, I just don't want to let go of it. But as long as I'm not doing that, for me, nature walks and so forth, that will get me out of it really, really quickly. Yeah, but I think you have to find out which ones work for you. I mean, it's going to be different for every person. A lot of people like journaling. I hate journaling. I mean, Anne-Marie, I despise journaling. I really do. I tried doing a journal entry just a couple days ago because I figured it would really help, and it kind of did. But even the way I was writing, first of all, I don't do a lot of handwriting anyway. I just don't do that. I type. But second of all, I'm handwriting, and I could feel my hand cramping up because I was feeling so much negative emotion that it was into my hand. It's like, I don't like doing this. This is not fun. This is not feeling good at all. So again, it depends.
Well,
it
depends it's important to know what works for you.
Exactly. So, Mark, what works for you when you're needing to get into a good place? What's your favorite Well, of course, you're a comedian, so you could probably tell yourself jokes. But I mean, what's your favorite way to get to that better place?
Yeah, I wish it was that easy. I live in I guess I do. I live in a very cutthroat world. The people I work around, there's a lot of negative people. It's a very unfair business, and if you're not careful, you can really find yourself getting down, seeing all the opportunities passing you by, or at least you think they are. And then I take a step back and just look at what I've been doing and what I've done. My job has taken me around the world, and I don't have to lift heavy things. I tell jokes, and it doesn't get better than that. I was feeling sorry for myself one cruise ship because I was kind of like in a bubble because I was all alone around 3,500 people, and then I just had to sit back and realize, look, you idiot. they're paying you a lot of money to sit on this ship and tell jokes. And if that doesn't cure any doldrums, I don't know what will. It works for me.
That's a nice way to do it. I mean, first of all, getting onto the ship, just being paid to be there, that all by itself is a good thing. You know, it's not like you're being dragged onto. You're just sitting there and telling jokes. That's pretty good. That's a nice way to get positive.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. I tell myself, and hopefully I don't get into this situation too often, but there are so many more people that have it worse than me. There's so many other comics that have it worse than me. Mm-hmm. It's not that bad, and you don't. Who has time, if you really think about it, to get yourself down or worry about it? Just move on to the next one and hope it's better.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yep. Well, and it's all in our perspective. You know, that I was trying to teach my 5-year-old granddaughter that today. It's all in your perspective. You know, she wanted to go to this thing and have dress up, and I said, so after we left, and I knew she had a good time. I said, did you have a good time? No. Why not? We didn't get to do dress up. And I was like, well, you thought that we were going to do dress up because I explained to her that this place we were going is the same place she went to previously where they did dress up. And I didn't say we were going to do dress up today, but she just assumed that. Mm-hmm. So her perspective was she was going to do dress up. Ah. And so she kept looking for it all day long. And I was like, they don't do dress up now. This is what we're doing now. And, but it was just her perspective. So I tried to explain to her on the car ride home, it's just your perspective. If you expect something to go a certain way and it doesn't, then you're going to be really disappointed. You just have to change your perspective, and then you won't be disappointed anymore.
That's true. That's true. And not always easy to do, but...
Like your advice, I'll sit back and take a breath and focus on what I've got, not what I don't have. There's so many people around me that are so focused on what they don't have. And just sit back, like I said, take a breath, think about what you've got, and hopefully if you're in a good place around good people that you love, then it's going to be okay. It's going to be great. Yep. It'll be great. Yep. If you let it.
Right.
If you let it.
You got to allow it. You just got to let it. Let it be. Let it be.
That's it.
I think those are the best advice. Let it be and follow your bliss.
Speaking words of wisdom. And they are words of wisdom. I mean, letting it be is not always the easiest thing to do, but when we can remember to do it, for some reason, problems go away. Because the perspective changes, I'm sure. But nevertheless, when we can just get into that place where we just let it go and just say, you know what, didn't work out the way I wanted it to, so just let it go. Not a big deal. Just let go of it. And if you can do that, it gets better. Even the situation that you didn't want gets better.
Of KISS? The keep it simple, stupid?
Oh, right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There's nothing more simple than that.
I had to shut down my hot dog cart because I didn't keep it simple. I had a lot of fun, but I had too many items.
How complex can a hot dog cart get? I mean, it's hot dogs.
Well, when you start making tuna sandwiches and chili and soups, and I must have had 30 items on that menu. I did not keep it simple. I was really being stupid, but I had a lot of fun.
That's not a cart.
Well, you had grand visions. You had visions of that cart becoming a deli. That's what it was.
I just wanted to please everybody. That's all. That's one of my biggest faults. Really, is one of my biggest challenges. I should say is trying to make everybody else happy. And you can't do that. You got to just make yourself happy and do what you can do.
Well, part of it, I think, is also recognizing that...
I don't know if this applies.
What's that?
I don't know if this applies, but I used to manage a sporting goods store about 2 lifetimes ago. And it was a small store, and the salesman for one of the products, that the rep, said if a small store sells an item to 98% of the people that walk in the door, you're going to be out of business in a year. That's a hard concept to grasp, but what it is, it means you're carrying too much merchandise. Like, you can't carry a little bit of golf supplies. You've got to carry $100,000 worth of golf supplies just to sell that $12 box of balls to the guy that walks in. So, I don't know if this applies, but you made me think about it, that if you please everybody, then you're going to be out of business.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, plus the point I was going to make.
Right.
The point I was going to make is that it almost doesn't matter whether or not you keep it simple or not, because even when you don't keep it simple, what you're really finding out is whether or not you love what it is you're doing. I mean, I think, Anne-Marie, it was probably safe to say that you'd probably burnt out the love for the hot dog cart. You'd reached the end of the rope, so to speak. So regardless of whether you had all those things on the menu or not, I suspect you wouldn't be doing the hot dog cart anyway. You just kind of ran out of time that you wanted to do the darn thing in the first place. It just wasn't even interesting anymore.
Well, I was torn. The thing was, I was working way too hard, not making enough money. And the guy who I had cleaning my dishes for me kept telling me exactly, keep it simple, stupid. It's like, you've got too many things here. It's just too much. You're just not. But I was having a good time throughout the whole thing.
Well, you were.
It was just not making very much sense.
Ah, okay.
I had to quit. In more ways than one, not making enough sense.
Well, if it doesn't make sense financially, then it does make sense. That's certainly true.
Right. Right. So now I work for a nonprofit and make nothing.
But then you wake up with that plan, apparently.
Sorry.
Well, you're enjoying it, though, because you wouldn't keep doing it. Let's be honest. You don't run something like a cultural arts center unless you're enjoying it.
No, I am enjoying it. It's very rewarding. It is.
Because why would you put up with all the stuff you have to do? Talk about having so many things on your menu. I mean, you have a menu and a half that you're dealing with every single day, let alone every single month. So
I know.
Yeah.
Kind of the same thing.
It kind of is, yeah. But this one you're sticking to. This one you're sticking with. This one has more of an appeal for you. And I think that's what my point is. If you're onto something that you're really enjoying, that really is resonating with you, it almost doesn't matter if it isn't working out perfectly because it's resonating with you. Things work out the way they need to work out.
It's true. It's true. And I have faith that it'll get better and better all the time. And, well, let's just leave it at that. I don't want to go into too much detail.
Well, then I'll take it in my direction then, because I've now been doing this podcast for 6 years. For the first 4 years, I did it for my benefit and the benefit of whoever my co-host was. I had one co-host. We were doing one show per week, and the co-host changed over time. Most often it was Joel Elston who does the Thursday podcast with me. But for all that time, the show was really going nowhere. It was only in the last couple of years that listenership really started to pick up, and that gave me like an extra reason to keep going. And I wanted to keep going. I wanted to get to the point where this is actually a career rather than just a hobby. But there's no way I would have stuck it out this long if I didn't like it, if I didn't enjoy it. And I still enjoy it after all this time. So that's why I think it's really important. I went through so much of my life so far, like the first 35 years of my work life, doing work I didn't really enjoy. I was good at it. I was very good at it, but I just didn't love it. And the thing is, if you follow that kind of approach, you're not going to get that high vibration level. In fact, more of the time, you're going to be at the low vibration. You're going to get frustrated, because that's exactly what was happening with me. And you play out that frustration tune long enough, and it wears you down. It wears you down in a big, big way, to the point that, and this has actually been my biggest problem. It wore me down for so long, it has become habitual. And I'm trying to reverse that habit, a habit built up over the course of decades. That's a tough habit to overturn, one that you've got that deeply ingrained. But I'm trying to do it, and I actually shouldn't have said it that way. Now that I think about it, I shouldn't say, "Oh, it's so deeply ingrained. It's so tough. I can't beat it." Well, no, actually I can. I can overwrite it. I can change it. But I will say it has been challenging, and that happens primarily because I was pursuing something during that time that I didn't love. So that's my long-winded way of saying, if you want to get that high vibration level, follow your heart. Like you said earlier, follow your bliss. Follow what really excites you, because that's the easiest way to do it. You don't even have to work at it at that point. It's not like you have to push it at that point, because you're just enjoying it. It's like, Mark, can you imagine, Mark, if you actually were forced to tell jokes because even though you didn't like doing them, you said, "Oh, well, it's a living." That wouldn't work very well, would it?
Oh, there's been some nights like that. Actually, what you're saying is exactly what happened to me. Back in 1993, I was a corporate travel agent. I was really good at it, and I really hated it. And that's when I started doing comedy. And after a couple of years, my calendar filled up where I had to make the choice. Which one do you want to do? And I think we were talking about this a couple of weeks ago. I sat back and realized in 100 years I'm going to be dead. So, it really doesn't matter. Do what you want. Do it.
Well, there's a cheery thought.
So I took the leap of faith. Well, yeah, I gave up a job. It wasn't a high-paying job, but it was a comfortably paying job and had full benefits. And I gave up that, chasing a dream. And it's worked out, and no regrets. It's had its ups and downs, and it's been an amazing life. I never could have experienced the things I'd have if I was still sitting on a computer at the travel agency, which they don't exist anymore.
Yeah, that's true. Travel agencies.
So I made the right choice.
That's pretty rough these days to be a travel agent, but and that.
Yeah.
But you got to tell me, was it easier to get up in the morning to go do the work as the corporate travel agent, or is it easier to get up in the morning to go to, or prepare to go to a club that you're going to be working at, or a corporate conference, or whatever it is that you're doing?
It's so much easier to do it now because I'm not going. That adage, it couldn't be truer. Find something you love and then find a way to get paid for it. You go to work again. But you find it. For the travelers, having to get up to go to work. So I had to drag myself out of bed.
So the computer got a little bit blurry, though. So you say you had to drag yourself out of bed to do the corporate, or you had to drag yourself out of bed to do the comedy?
Oh, the corporate. I'm sorry, we're on about a 2-second delay. At least I am with you. So let me apologize to both of you if there's a lot of dead spots. But because like you said, when I had to do the travel agency, I was having to go to work. And for the other, I just can't wait to get there. A friend of mine who does a motivational speaking, he had this little way of saying something. It was a lot of people that are in the 9-to-5 drudge. They wake up and go, "Good God, I have to go to work." And he looks at it and says, "Good God, I'm going to work."
Same phrase, different meaning. That's good, though.
Yeah, because work is just a very loose term for what I do. Because I have a blast. I love it.
That's
and
really
I'm
the main
lucky.
thing.
Not everybody can find that.
Hey, if it weren't for that, I'm not sure how long I'd be doing the podcast, but it gets you going. I mean, I've been doing it for no pay at all. You've at least been getting money out of it, Mark. I mean, I haven't been getting any money out of it at all, but I still keep going anyway.
Yes.
I'm not sure if that means I'm crazy or not, but but it shows what happens when you love it. When you love it, you just keep going.
Well, it's like a lot of people that. There's a lot of people that do open mic comedy that have no intentions of going on row, but they love doing it, and it's a great release. So, in a way, I'm sure you do have dreams, and this is going to pay off for you. You're working way too hard for it not to, and you're too good at it. And the people, I'm talking, they stink, but they get up and they love doing that, and it makes them feel really good. So.
Well, thank you for that. I appreciate that. Now, I'll take that as a vote of confidence that I'll tuck into the back of my subconscious mind as a way to remind myself, stay in that positive zone. But it does make a difference. It makes a huge difference.
You will. You will. I know you will. We're always, we knew you win.
I love it. What was that, Anne-Marie?
I have a question for Mark. So, Mark, have you ever been in this situation, and what do you do when you're in this situation, when you're in a room with a lot of people, and they're just not getting your jokes? They're just not in tune. They're not really laughing. They're not really getting it. It's a really tough room. I don't know. Maybe you've never been in that situation before. Maybe when you were just starting out, it was a room full of 6 people, maybe. But have you been in that situation, and what do you do when you're in that situation to try to get out of it?
I was just going to say, if it happens, I'll let you know.
Okay.
Now, you have the fun nights that are. There's the bad nights. Comics should never blame the crowd. At least 99% of the time. If they're not having fun, it's because you're not doing your job. And if it's I've played for 1,000 people, and I have played for 2 people. And you just have to, or at least for me, I have to remember it's not their fault that it's not a big crowd. Mm-hmm. And instead of doing my act, I talk to them. And time, hopefully. And usually it works out, and it's a much more intimate setting. It's a complete different approach when you're working in a room of 2,000 versus a room of 50.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And if the things aren't flying well, any given night, your best joke is going to flop, and your worst filler joke is going to kill. So you just don't let them see you laugh it off. Talk to them, make a joke about the fact that they're not liking the jokes. There's one bit I do that people it takes them aback a little bit. It's not dirty, but I can't wait for y'all to see it. I'll remind you what it is. And it never fails. Half the room crack up and the other half kind of stare. I look over there and says, you guys are laughing. That's good. Thank you. And I look at the other side of the room and says, you people are taking this way too seriously. And that gets a laugh out of them. So you just kind of take little jabs at them and just be friendly. I've seen comics, when they have a bad crowd, get mad and just lambaste the audience. I was like, what are you thinking? Nobody's having a good time then.
Right. Yeah,
I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, no, that was good. That was fine.
By the way, I wanted to mention we have a number of people listening in on the Law of Attraction Changed My Life group on Facebook, including our Monday afternoon co-host, Patty Framo, waving hello. And Hilda is saying hi, thank you for sharing, and a couple hellos from Lisa and from Debbie. So thank you guys for listening, and a few other likes there as well. So just wanted to acknowledge our people listening in on the Law of Attraction Changed My Life group. In fact, if any of you guys want to share any of your favorites, methods or processes or whatever that you like to engage in, whenever you're trying to get yourself into a high vibration place, put something into the comments there in the post on Facebook, and we'll read them here on the show and include them in the conversation, so to speak. Because really, there's so many things that we can do, but because most of us don't give a lot of thought to it and a lot of attention to it, it becomes, like you said, Anne-Marie, it becomes very easy at times to forget. What do you do when you're in that down place, when you're feeling angry or frustrated or overwhelmed or even depressed or whatever? What do you do? Well, you got to have that go-to to go to. The go-to to go to. I'm in a silly mood, you can tell. But that's really an important thing. So
yeah, well, maybe you could give us one of the processes in the back of the book, if you have it handy enough, for what you do if you're depressed. Could you give us like one of the processes?
Yeah, sure. Give me a moment, and I will bring that up. So let's see. We'll go to the very, very back. That's the one nice thing about the book. The depression is at the back, and the happiness is toward the front. So you just go to the back. Well, like we said before, meditation is for all places.
Oh.
You like that one? Okay. So let's see. I'm
not touching that one.
It's a good thing. I mean, it's nice to have a comic on board, but sometimes it's not quite as nice. But anyway. Process number 20. This is a good one. Turn it over to the manager. If you're a religious person, turn it over to God. Basically, if you feel you have too much to do, this is for when you want more time to do things that you enjoy, when you want to become the powerful creator that you were born to be, and your emotional set point is somewhere between frustration and anger. Turn it over. Stop trying to solve the problems. Stop figuring out the hows. Just trust that you've put it out there to the universe, and that if you do so, the universe is going to take care of it for you. The nice thing about letting go is you don't have to do anything. You just kind of let go. You say, okay, I'm done. Even if it means walking away and saying, I give up on this, I can't fix it. You let go.
Yep.
And in the process of letting go, you feel better. That's the amazing thing. Yep. In fact, have you ever noticed that you can let go of something and then a half hour later forgot that you let go and forgot what the topic of conversation was?
Yeah.
I mean, I've had that happen a lot.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because, you're in that tunnel, that negative tunnel, right? Like, nothing's going right. I am so frustrated. I'm so unhappy. I give up. And then the topic kind of changes, and you forgot a half hour later that you were frustrated or even what you were frustrated about, unless you deliberately go to think about it. But, if you actually let go of it, it's gone that quickly.
And that's a good thing.
It is a good thing. Let's see, what else do we have back here? That's a specific one to debt. Finding the feeling place. This is if your emotional set point is somewhere between pessimism and anger. I don't remember this one. Let's see what it says. Because you are generally giving much more attention to the aspects of your life that you are living right now, whatever you are living is carrying more vibrational weight, so to speak, than what you are desiring or imagining. In other words, if you have a desire to be slender, even though you are considerably overweight at the moment, the aspects of your now experience are probably outweighing the vibrations of your visualizations. In other words, I'm fat rather than I'm thin. Yeah, that would happen. Often people will say, I'm not happy over here. I wish I could be over there. But when asked what it is about over there that they desire, usually they will just explain to you what is wrong with being over here. Boy, is that the truth. Even though they use such words as, I want to be over there, or I want what is over there, their vibration is much more about over here, where they now stand, than about where they want to be. Yeah, I mean, how often do we do that? Regularly, actually. In fact, have you ever noticed that most conversation between most people is about what's not going right in their lives? Or what's not going right in the world? Or
oh, yes. Drives me crazy.
I mean, it's the number one topic of conversation, all the things that aren't going right. All we have to do is let go of that. That just letting go of that is going to be a good thing. Although I guess for some people it's fairly habitual, and that's the problem. It's habitual. They've turned it into a habit. But you got to be mindful of it and say, you know what? I don't want to be negative anymore. I don't want to be talking about all the stuff that I don't like anymore. And it's also about reminding yourself.
Maybe you should say instead of that, it says, I don't want to be negative. Why don't you just say, I'm going to be positive?
Yes, exactly. That's where I was going with it. Exactly. Reframing it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, don't be afraid. That's good. That's good. You're absolutely right. You got to focus on saying it the way that you actually mean it. I'm trying to think of a good concrete example. The only thing that's coming to mind is politics, and I want to stay away from politics. But let's see, what would be an example? Instead of I don't like it when my wife says such and such and so, turn it around to I love it when my wife says something else instead. That kind of thing. That's what you need to do more of. So, to your point, Mark. In fact, that kind of reframing is actually an art all by itself. Actually, now that I think about it, reframing is how I first learned to turn things around. Because I didn't realize that you could.
I believe it.
It
makes total sense.
Because I didn't know that you could, first of all. I mean, back when I was first exploring all this stuff, I didn't think I had any control over my emotions. I thought I was subject to them. I thought they were in control of me. And, it just depended on what happened in my life. If my life was going good, then I'd get to have good emotions. Hooray! And if life wasn't going good, then I got to have bad emotions. Boo! But I didn't have any choice about it. I could react to it, but I couldn't do anything about it. That was my feeling. Until I tried reframing. And then reframing is where I realized,
people were like I used to be. Didn't know what the difference was between I want something good versus I wish there was no more bad. So a lot of people, that's the same thing.
It is.
And it's not.
Yeah, a lot of people would say that. I agree. I used to say that. It's funny, too, how there is a qualitative difference there. We don't really think about it very often, but there is. It feels different. You can say the words, and they sound like they mean the same thing because of, I'm negating it. But when you actually feel what you're saying, it feels different. I mean, if I say oh,
absolutely.
I don't like warm milk, but I like cold milk. Saying I don't like warm milk has kind of a feel to it, but I like cold milk that has a nice feel to it. It has a different feeling. Or vice versa. Maybe you're a warm milk person. If you're a warm milk person, forgive me.
Yeah. Even just thinking about it feels different.
Yes. It certainly does. And that's why we have to stay there. Stay in that good feeling place. Like nobody's really sharing their favorite things either. So I'm not quite sure where to go next. But I know what I should do next. I should get our promos in while we have time left because I always wait to the last second. I don't want to wait to the last second. So if you're not yet a subscriber to the podcast, please take a moment to become one because you get all of the episodes coming streaming right to your smartphone every single day that they get published. And we're doing 11 of them a week, so there's a lot to pick from. So it's real simple to do. If you have never done it before, there are instructions. Actually, we're putting instructions in almost all of the descriptions for all the places that this podcast description goes. Just look into the verbiage and you'll find links there. If you're looking in a place where it doesn't have the link, well, just go to the homepage of our website, loatoday.net. We have icons there for Android users and an icon for iPhone and iPad users. You just click your icon and it walks you right through the whole process of signing up and subscribing. And for all of our existing subscribers, please do share the fact that you're listening on loatoday.net on your favorite social media channels such as Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or LinkedIn or Reddit or wherever you like to do your social media-ing, because that's how we get the word out, both via the law of attraction and via the power of how social media works, so that more and more people can get their daily dose of happy. And we appreciate everyone who helps to share the word, because it is getting out. Word is getting out. I mean, that's how we got from 25 listeners a month to 10,000 listeners a month. It's definitely paying off. It works. So please keep sharing because it makes a big difference. And there was another message I wanted to put. I probably should have made a note because I don't remember exactly what it was, but I wanted to get some audience input. I think it was about topics, but I think it was something else. I'm not really sure exactly what it was. But let's put it this way. We love hearing from listeners. And we do get contacts periodically, either by email or Facebook or Messenger or whatever, text messages. But whatever method you pick, please contact us. And if you ever want to come onto the show, we would love to have you come on and share your insights. We're now publishing the Blue Jeans link. Blue Jeans is how the three of us, and in fact all the co-hosts, connect on the platform so that we can live stream. And we'd love to have you come on and share your questions, or just like if you're in the Law of Attraction Change My Life group on Facebook, where we're live streaming these days, just post something there and we'll be happy to address it as well. In fact, there are times we've gotten emails from listeners and they've shared some really interesting situations. So we've talked about their situation and maybe even got people some free coaching on the call, and in addition to everything else. In fact, I think the last time we did that was a week ago, Thursday, with Joel Elston. And the guy wrote in talking about how he had almost everything going right in his life except for one thing. And he was talking about that one thing and he was realizing what he was doing wrong and so forth. And he realized what he probably should have done right. So he actually almost figured out most of it himself. But he got the benefit of Joel's wisdom for like 45 minutes out of that show. So you send in a message, you're going to get some value out of it. So feel free to take the time to contact us, and we love it. We love hearing from listeners. So yeah. So let's see. We got a few minutes left. Let's see. Where can we go with feeling good? Feeling good seems like it should be such a complex topic, but we all agree. Yep, you got to feel good. There's not much complexity there. So why is it then that we spend so much time in the dumps? Because so many people do. I mean, Anne-Marie, we talked about earlier how we have people who are constantly having the same conversation about all the things that go wrong in life. Why is it people have so much trouble getting out of it, do you think?
I don't know. I really don't know. I think it's something that we learn as a child to maybe, when you talk about the things that are going wrong, everybody sympathizes with you. You get empathy. People say, "Oh, you poor thing." I don't know. Maybe that's why it is. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, sometimes I'll talk to my husband about what went wrong, but I really try to make it very succinct and short and move on from it and focus, refocus on something more positive, because I don't want to dwell on it. But I don't know why most people do. It's just bizarre that people spend so much time focusing on the negative. I mean, outside, so the Buttonwood tree is located right next door to a soup kitchen. And of course, these are people who are really stuck. And so many times I have to turn the music up in the Buttonwood tree so loud so that I don't hear them complaining about their life situations.
Yeah, I know what you mean. We have somebody who works for Louise's gardening service, who we've tried to give help to, and he and his mom have been in a really difficult situation, really difficult situation. So we are sympathetic to what they're going through, and yet nevertheless, and he's also a listener, by the way. So I have to be careful about what I say, but even there, even nevertheless with that, he still will often just get into that negative place and won't climb out of it. And there'll be times where I'll point out to him, you're in the negative. You got to focus on the positive. Oh yeah, and he'll focus on the positive for 5 seconds, and boom, he's right back to the negative again. And you kind of throw up your hands at that point and say, I give up. I don't know what to do. You got to want to get out.
Old habits are hard to break.
They are.
You know, they really are. Old habits are very difficult to break. And for some reason, we grow up with this old habit. I mean, Mark, how do you feel about it?
I have met and known so many people that they're not happy unless they are miserable. And you just can't be around them. I just choose to not be around them. I see other people, too, again, back in my business, that they're not getting the bookings they want to get. That guy got it. How come he got it? He's so lucky. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of funny how the people that work the hardest somehow seem the luckiest. And you have to ask, are you putting yourself out there? Are you doing anything to make it better? And they're usually not. They're just too busy worried that they're not getting anything, and they just get in a downward spiral. And it's nice if you can help them, but for the most part, you just can't be around them.
Yeah, it's funny. Unless you put it out there, you can't get it back. Basic law of attraction premise. You got to put it out there. And yet people expect to get it back if they don't.
Yep.
I don't know. You
know, it's a funny fact of life that we get what we put out comes back to us. Mm-hmm. I was with, so many lessons I'm teaching my granddaughter. It's such a joy to be able to spend time with her. But I said hello to somebody this morning. I said, have a great day. And they said, you have a great day too. And I said, thanks, and I said to my granddaughter, I said, see, when you put out good things and you wish good upon people, it comes back to you. And when you do mean things to people, that comes back to you too. So you got to be careful what you put out there. It all comes back to you. And it's such a really simple process of life, but yet we don't seem to utilize it to our benefit.
It's very true, especially with a 5-year-old. In fact, you're making me think about the fact that any parent of a young child knows exactly what it's like about putting the right stuff or the wrong stuff out there. And there's a story that comes out of the daycare world that my wife told me about when she was working in daycare, about a kid who was being quizzed in daycare about what the lights on a traffic light mean. And he's asked, what does the red light mean? That means to stop. And what does the green light mean? That means go. And what does the yellow light mean? That means, oh no!
Well, how's this where you're putting things out there? What do you call a boomerang that doesn't come back?
Lost.
Anybody? A stick.
A stick. Right?
A stick, yeah.
Yes. Somebody forgot to bend that one.
See, they didn't put it out there.
That's right.
They didn't prepare it.
Oh, that's funny. Well, when you're doing comedy, Mark, you end up having to deal with people who are in a variety of states of happiness, sadness, joy, frustration, whatever. You're dealing with the whole range of stuff. Now, like you've mentioned before, presumably, if they're coming to a comedy show, they're kind of in an expectant mode. They're in that place of like, well, I'm here to be entertained. Hopefully, but not always the case, is it? I mean, sometimes you're just going to get somebody in there who's, they're bound and determined not to laugh no matter what.
Well, the biggest problem, of course, is the drunks. And liquid courage also will amplify their personality. Mm. And if they're a jerk, they're going to be a bigger jerk. I'm going to send you a picture. I wish I could put it up for everybody to see here, but hopefully before we go off there, I'm going to send you a picture that really sums up what a comedian sees in an audience. It's really funny because you could have... I saw a documentary with Ray Romano from Everybody Loves Raymond. 3,500 people. He was a surprise entertainer at this convention in Orlando. Ooh. And 3,499 were just cramping themselves, wetting themselves, laughing. And there's one old lady that just sat there. And all he could talk about after the show was, what's wrong? What did I do to offend her? Why was she not happy? And that's what a comic sees. But I hope I can find it. Even if I don't get it before you go off the air, I want to send this to you. And it's hilarious, but it's very, very true.
It's like an
And you can
image.
share it with anybody, and Anne-Marie should see it too.
It's an image of
Huh?
what the comic sees, meaning that they're not seeing all the people who are laughing, they're seeing
Yeah.
all the people who aren't.
What? Yeah, it's what the comic sees versus what's really happening.
Oh, okay.
And I just have to go through this. It's going to take me a little while. You'll love it though, and it really really sums up what we go through and what's going on in our minds.
Well, it also is probably a good reminder about what it is that you're trying to avoid going through your mind. If you notice that you're in that place and all you can see is that,
Exactly.
that's your clue. Like, oh, wait a minute, I got to shift gears here. I got to change my focus. I'm focusing on the wrong stuff.
Right.
Emery, do you run into the same thing as the MC of the Buttonwood? I mean, you don't have to be up there making jokes like the comedian does, but you have to introduce your acts and you try to get you're kind of like the warm up, because there really is no warm up in most cases. So you're trying to warm up the
Yeah, I
audience.
kind of am the warm up.
Oh, that's the hardest job. She's got
You're right.
the hardest
Yeah,
and
and
most important
sometimes
job.
they're just really stiff and really quiet,
Mhm.
and they don't say anything, and they don't even have expression on their face sometimes.
Yeah.
But more often than not, they're happy and they're receptive and they're looking at you. And when I smile at them, they smile back. But it's a tough thing to have to adapt so quickly to the room and be able to say what you want to say in a way that they're going to accept it and feed off of it and appreciate it. You know, you got to really. It's really a skill I quite haven't learned yet to do it really well, but I'm getting better at it. But it's tricky.
When I finally get up there, I'll help you out with that. I'll have you an ace
Oh,
in
good.
no time.
Great, thanks.
I remember when I played in bands back in my younger days. If we were in a club that had a handful of patrons and not much more, and we weren't getting hardly any reaction at all, I would look to see if there was even one person who we were getting a reaction from, and then I would play for that person. And if I could do that, then I could play
There you go.
enthusiastically because that person was liking it. So I played for that person, and over
Right.
time, the energy would start to pick up, and more people would get into it, and so on.
Great.
But if you play
That's
for the
great.
people who are
That's
dead, your music dies real fast. It dies very quickly. It's painful how quickly it dies. Actually, the worst part, this is one thing that I don't think a comic actually runs into. Have you ever, Mark, have you ever had to play for a completely empty house where no one is there, but you're paid to do it, so you have to keep playing on it? Because if you're playing music, you have to play the music anyway.
Yeah, for you guys, it's easy. You can just call it a rehearsal. I have played for 2 people. Well, isn't it though? I mean, you can just enjoy it, and you have a few guys to suffer along with you.
Yeah, that's true.
There was is there? Oh, what was that?
I think it was an audience member giving us. No, never mind.
Spaceship.
Oh, okay. And my smallest was for 2 people in a room that would hold 300, and it's not easy.
Yeah.
I can't believe they actually had the show. There's a story in Steve Martin's autobiography where he was performing at a store. The club had a storefront, and there was nobody in the room, but the manager made him get up on stage and do his show, so people walking by would look in the window and think something was going on.
Ah, yeah.
That's brutal.
That's painful. That's painful. Yep. So
Yeah.
Well, anyway, we got a couple minutes, only about a minute left. Before we go, anything interesting coming up at the Buttonwood, Anne-Marie?
Oh my goodness, there's always something interesting coming up at the Buttonwood Tree. What day is it?
It's Sunday night. What's coming up Monday and Tuesday?
Oh my goodness. Monday night is Anything Goes open mic where we do moments of gratitude.
Ah.
I've got the whole place feeling gratitude at the same time. We talk about what lifts us up, and it's a really endearing part of the night. People really like it. I mean, some people hate it, I'm sure, because it's not comedy and it's not music, and they think it's stupid. But generally speaking, people really like moments of gratitude.
That's good.
And then Tuesday we have laughter yoga again. I think Tuesday's laughter yoga. Yeah, the third Tuesday, so that'll be laughter yoga. And then Thursday night we have sound healing from 7 to 9. That's going to be nice. Friday and Saturday we have 2 concerts. Always 8 to 10 on Friday and Saturday nights.
Sounds good. All
and
right.
you can, again, check out more online at buttonwood.org. But
So anyone in the Central Connecticut area, check out the Buttonwood in Middletown. Good place to be. And Mark, you got anything on the calendar that you want to tell us about? Or maybe just tell us how we can find out more about Southern Not Stupid.
This week, please, southernnotstupid.com. Go there. Write me. Remember, I'm lonely. I'll write you back. I'm heading down to South Florida this week, down to Sarasota and Cape Coral.
Sounds good.
Nice.
So that's going to be
All
a
right.
good time.
Well, guys, it's been a pleasure, and thank you
just in time. I just sent you that picture I was telling you about.
Oh, okay.
I finally found it just in the nick of time. I just sent you a text with it. You'll love it.
All right, I'll be looking for that. Well, thanks for doing it, guys, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Have a great week.
You too. We'll see you all next time as well
Bye,
here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.